New girlfriend throws me under the bus. I, Mike, 30 male, started dating Jen, 28 female, about 5 months ago. We met through shared friends after I left the Marines after serving 12 years. Jen and I hit it off pretty quickly, and she told me that I was the first guy she dated that she considered an alpha male. This was a pretty strange comment, but she went on to explain that most of her last few boyfriends were very effeminate and soft-spoken. As she put it, they were lovers, not fighters. There were a couple of things I was concerned about in this conversation. She mentioned the last few guys and the fact that she seemed to like being the alpha in a relationship. I was concerned she would think I would step into the follower role. That's not who I am, and honestly, you'll find out most Marines aren't interested in taking a back seat in the relationship. We can be quiet and go with the flow as long as it's heading in a direction we're interested in. But once you deviate from that path, we'll most likely start breaking trail. Things progressed between us, and I must admit I fell for Jen, and I thought she fell for me. I think we effectively balanced how we approached most aspects of our relationship. The physical side was great, as Jen was very communicative about what she wanted. We had romance, humor, and excitement to do new things. We both worked, and our work schedules perfectly matched, so we were able to spend time together as frequently as we wanted. Jen got to the point where she shared her first "I love you." I wrapped my arms around her and told her I loved her too. I believe we had a great start to a long-term, intimate relationship. One of the few things I disliked was a small group of her friends. In 2 cases, they were former boy toys she had dated. These guys couldn't walk away after things ended and insisted on being friends. She also had a couple of female friends that I'll call purple hair and green hair. They were pleasant enough to me, but I had to grit my teeth whenever they would talk. They were these condescending, liberated, real female lords of the land who thought men were gross. I'm pretty sure most guys have run across them at the local Starbucks. Later that day, they were over at Jen's place when I got there after my gym workout. I knocked and Jen called out for me to come in, since I had just come from the gym and was a sweaty mess. Jen gave me a hug and kiss and told me to go shower. I laughed and headed into her master bathroom to clean up. I turned on the shower and started to strip down. That's where I found out that Jen's bathroom AC heater duct was connected to the one on the other side of the wall in the kitchen. As I was waiting for the water to heat, old apartment and water heater, I could hear them all talking in the other room. I'm a very big guy, being over 6'4" and weighing in at 230 pounds. Green hair was laughing at how could she even stand to wrap her arms around me, saying I looked and smelled like a Sasquatch. Purple hair starts cackling, and one of the exes makes a raunchy comment about our sex life. Then green hair tells her that she hopes that Jen showers after I do, so they don't have to smell me on her for the rest of the day. Jen laughed and said, yeah, she had to get used to it. Then her other ex says she must have taken an animal training course before getting into bed with me. Jen started laughing at that and said I lacked finesse and she had to get used to being mauled. Then she said she knew how it must feel to be SA'd repeatedly. They all started laughing at that. I have never done anything to Jen that she didn't ask me to do. She liked to tell me what she wanted, and I did precisely that. I didn't care as long as it felt good. My hands were shaking, and I was furious. Jen told her friends that having sex with me was like being SA'd. I sat down on the toilet, devastated. We had just opened up with each other about our feelings and expressed love after 5 months of seeing each other. I took out my phone, posted on social media, and changed my relationship status to single. I posted, "Today was the first day my girlfriend and I told each other we loved each other." A few hours later, I overheard her describing to her friends that I was clumsy in bed, and it was like getting repeatedly SA'd by Sasquatch. WTF. Jen, her parents, and many shared friends would see the post. I took a deep breath, put put my workout clothes back on, turned off the shower, and heard Jen mention that the water had shut off. I grabbed all of my stuff and walked out. Jen and the others looked up at me when I walked past them, still dressed from the gym, and didn't say a word as I left. As the door was closing, I heard one of the guys say, "Did you see his face?" I walked to my car as Jen's door opened and she quickly approached me. I got in my car and left without saying a word. Before I got home, my phone was constantly dinging since I had forgotten to put it in quiet mode. At least this happened before Jen and I moved in together. I had a place where I could hole up and drink a bottle of scotch. I went no contact with anyone over the weekend. Monday morning, I cleaned up and headed to the gym for a monster workout. When I was done, I showered, shaved my beard and mustache, and made an appointment to get a haircut at lunch. It had been a while since I was clean-shaven. I'm guessing my subconscious was still grinding away on the Sasquatch thing. When I got to work, a few of my work friends who had seen my post on social media dropped by to console me. I thanked them, shrugged it off, and attacked my workload. One thing that I hadn't planned for was my work phone. Jen started calling it every time she was on break at work. I was still getting tons of text messages and my phone would vibrate periodically, but I had gotten used to it and ignored it now. When I got home from work, my little sister Faith was waiting at my apartment. She had a key and was sitting in a newly cleaned kitchen. She walked over without saying a word and hugged me. I had introduced Jen to my parents a couple of weeks before, and it had gone over really well. Faith wasn't there, so she hadn't met my sister yet. Faith pulled back, looked at me, and told me to call Mom before she lost her mind. While Faith continued to clean my house, I called my mom and told her what had happened. Mom was really upset and disappointed with Jen. After assuring her I was fine, I got off the phone to deal with the rest of the social media fallout. I had so many texts and calls from Jen that I had to set them aside for now. Facebook was awash with angry messages from my friends and family towards Jen. Even some of Jen's friends expressed outrage at the comments. Jen's parents sent me messages asking for me to reach out to them so they could apologize for their daughter. The ones that made me laugh were from my Marine friends. The female Marines were saying crude stuff like, "You can Sasquatch me anytime." One went as far as saying she had some leave coming and would fly out for some friends with benefits time. I know they were saying this to get under Jen's skin. Jen's toxic friends never commented, but Jen left one message saying she was so sorry and that what I heard was out of context. They were saying it as banter between friends. Jen said she was sorry for what she said and that I had always been a gentleman to her. At least she took responsibility for acting like an AH. It took a bit of the sting off of the situation, but I was still really angry about the fact she just threw our relationship away. Later that night, Faith made me dinner, and we settled in for the evening of watching a movie and drinking beer. Faith decided she was going to stay with me for a few days until I was in a better place. Since she hadn't met Jen, she asked a lot of questions about our relationship and whether Jen had thrown any red flags. And I said, no, other than her friends. I got up to use the bathroom and I heard a knock at the door that Faith answered. When the door opened, Faith asked, "What the F do you want?" The question back was, "Who the F are you? His FWB." There was a scuffling sound and I finished up as fast as I could and found Faith slapping the crap out of Jen. Jen was fighting back, screaming obscenities at Faith, calling her nasty names. Jen was screaming about Faith trying to take me away from her. I grabbed Faith from behind, picked her up, turned, and set her down behind me. While I was doing this, Jen was trying to get past me to attack Faith again. I ended up grabbing Jen and forcing her back out the door. I stepped into the door opening, effectively blocking it from both sides. Jen started screaming at me while crying. She couldn't make up her mind if she wanted to beg for forgiveness or attack me for cheating with Faith. She was inconsolable for a few minutes, then just shut down. She stood there trembling with tears running down her face. Faith was laughing her ass off behind me, saying crap like, "Come on, Mike, let's go F." I looked over my shoulder and told her, "Faith, you are not helping." Jen's head snapped up at the mention of Faith's name. She looked at me and asked if this was my sister. I sighed and Faith redoubled her laughter. Then Faith said, "Yeah, she's not the sharpest stick. Glad she's not going to be in the family gene pool." Jen just stood there, not knowing what to say. Jen started pleading with me to let her explain, like there were some magic words that would make me get over the crap she said about me. And that's precisely what I told her. Jen, no words can come out of your mouth that will undo the damage. You told me that morning that you loved me. Then you made me into a cruel joke for your crappy friends to laugh at. You made fun of our sex life, not to mention how I looked and smelled after I was at the gym, and to top it off, you compared me to an essayist. How do you say stuff like that if you love me? Do you realize just how terrible of a person you are? How can you look at yourself in the mirror and not see that crappy person wearing your face? Don't worry, Jen. I'll help you make that connection. You are a terrible human being, a liar, and a pitiful excuse for a woman. Everyone sees it now, including your family and friends. I hope that you get the man and the life you deserve. I slammed the door shut in her face. The entire time I was unloading on her, I could see the impact of my words. That was the last time I saw Jen in person for quite a while. It's been a few months since the incident, so the raw anger has stopped. She has periodically contacted me to try to apologize and is asking to test the waters to see if I'm open to reconnecting. I did pick up a call one day, and it was her. She spoke quickly and asked me to give her 2 minutes. I did. I was curious about what she thought she could accomplish in 2 minutes. She has been trying to convince me we can start over and go on a friend date. I'm civil to her, but I've been pretty clear that I'm not interested. Jen was ravaged online by just about everyone, including our friends. Her parents read her single post where she tried to excuse her behavior as just banter and posted a public message where they took responsibility for not raising her right. Jen must have seen it because some friends tell me she's still in fence-mending mode. It looks like she finally cut ties with the toxic friends she was with that day. She had commented on SM that she needed to look at herself and reevaluate those she chose to let into her life. She made a broad apology to all of her remaining friends after cutting ties with a lot of people. She said she wants to be around good people with a positive outlook on life. A lot of our shared friends have bailed on her. I did meet up with that female FWB Marine. She wasn't kidding about coming out to see me. We were aware of each other when I was still active, but never really connected. Not a great idea to get involved with people you work with, primarily when you work for Uncle Sam. We hung out for a full week about a month or so ago. Yes, we were very friendly. She's a lifer, but that's not a deal killer. If our relationship continues, I can work remotely or look for another job closer to her duty station. I'll have to see how that goes. And Jen? Yeah, it's helping my ego a bit because she seems to recognize what she did and what she lost. I do get a little self-confidence boost when she calls or messages. She's trying to salvage our friendship, but I'm unsure I want a friend like her. Faith told her off on SM, saying that even if we ever did become friends, she would never be accepted by our other friends or family. I think the most scarring event in this whole crap show was when Faith was taunting Jen before Jen made the connection that she was my sister. I will only post new unique content. Please like and subscribe.